Welcome to the Conversation in Cold Ones podcast. I'm your host, Damien, my co host, Jared.
Howdy, y'all.
Jared, why don't you take us into the brewskis of the week?
I didn't get one because we jumped into this way quicker than I thought we would. So I've got nothing.
All right, I actually have something. I have the Smirnoff Seltzer Pink Lemonade. Um, it's not good, but what are you doing? All right, so he's going to grab his drink. We're going to explain some things. So, one, no podcast last week. I know we said we would be back on a weekly basis, but for what we wanted to do for the rankings, we just wanted to. There's Rachel saying hello. We wanted to focus on getting these Batman rankings done because it's been a big thing we've been focusing on. Um, an update on the Christopher Nolan movie rankings. We are so close to done. We have Dunkirk left, Interstellar, and Insomnia left. So next week we should hopefully have this rankings, and then after that we're gonna go back to a normal podcast. It's just been slow, even with like Sony State of Play and stuff like that. So that's why. Where'd you go? Oh,
Here's my brewski of the week.
nice.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, I was just updating him on why there's no podcast last week. How we focused on the Batman stuff. And
oh,
then how we are 3 movies away from our Nolan rankings. So probably next week we'll be doing that. And we'll be back to our regular scheduled programming when it comes to what we're talking about on the podcast. But
fuck yeah.
even if
These are expired.
even though we haven't been doing like a lot of game news and stuff, there hasn't really been much going on in the sense of like new announcements or crazy news. I mean, like the state of play that happened like 2 or 3 days ago from Sony, like it wasn't anything worth note, to be fair. So yeah, it's are you reading your label?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm so
Trying to
close to
find
the
it
camera.
actually.
There we go.
Like what?
You can see my Halloween posters. Nice.
Ooh, yummy.
And my blankie.
Mine's a little off. Normally you can see just that back corner LEDs. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Professionals. All right. So there we go. That's better. All right. So let's get into our actual rankings. Um,
Let's do it.
so we are rank. I'll go over the movies we are ranking so that you know we're not doing the original Batman 1966 movie. I don't want to watch that. I've seen it before. Didn't enjoy it. We're not including the Justice League movies because even though Batman is a central focus, like it's more of a team movie, team up movie. So how we don't include the Avengers in our Captain America rankings or stuff like that, we just didn't want to
For the
include it.
Spider-Man ones.
Yeah. So we have the Nolan trilogy to rank. We have the newest Batman, which we'll also go ahead and give a review for in this, since we didn't do it last week. We have Lego Batman, Batman with Michael Keaton, Batman Returns, Batman versus Superman, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. Um, so Jared, what is your number 10?
My number 10 is Batman.
Which one?
Oh, Batman with Michael Keaton. Sorry.
Okay. Why?
Uh, well, when making this list, I had to decide which one I would like to like. The way like um words are coming out of my mouth. The way I decided to do it was whether or not I would go back and rewatch it like this week. That's kind of since I've watched all these movies within the past 2 weeks. I'm like, do it like all right, if it's a week from now, am I gonna go back and watch this again? That's the one that I would least likely watch again.
Okay. Um,
What's your number 10?
Oh, you gotta let me react to that. That like
Oh,
caught me off guard so bad, like because I know nostalgia plays a factor in a lot of things, but compared to the movie I'm about to talk about, like the villain in the original Batman is like leagues better. Um, but my number 10 is Batman Forever. That is my least favorite Batman. That is the Val Kilmer one.
Yeah.
I do not like this movie. One, because I feel like Val Kilmer was always a weird fit as Batman. I don't like Schumacher's directing and how he inserted comedy in Batman. I mean, literally the first time you see Batman, Alfred's like, "Do you want me to make you a sandwich?" He's like, "I'll get drive-through." And it's just like stupid comedy moments like that. When it comes to the villains, I really, and we talked about this last night when Jared was watching this movie, like Tommy Lee Jones isn't really playing the Two-Face character. He's playing a different rendition of the Joker. And Tommy Lee Jones is a great actor, don't get me wrong, but in this role, it's just he's so miscasted and so out of place that it's just like the biggest negative to me, besides Jim Carrey. Obviously, Jim Carrey was very popular when this movie was coming out. He was, Ace Ventura, Mask, all that stuff. He was very popular. So what Hollywood did was, okay, let's get Jim Carrey to play the Riddler, but instead of playing the Riddler, we're just gonna have the Riddler be Jim Carrey. I don't like. First off, I'm not a fan of Jim Carrey. I don't like his movies at all. I'll be point blank with you. I don't like this rendition of the Riddler because it changes the character so much from the comics, and I don't like this over the top wacky facial animation or facial expressions. The way he talks always bugged me in that movie. The line delivery from all three of the main characters, Val Kilmer, Tommy Lee Jones, and the guy I just said, Ace Ventura, Jim Carrey, they're just weird, and the directing is not tight in this movie at all. There's a lot of shots that just seem kind of awkward to me. And I think for me, as like, if you look at all the villains in this movie, I think for a Batman movie, these by far are the worst villains, like combination in a movie. So that is my number 10, Jared. What is your number 9?
My number 9 is Batman Forever.
Nice. Wow. There's a movie that is higher than I thought it would be.
Interesting. Yeah, so Batman Forever, not it wasn't bad. I mean, I can see like everything you said about it, like I totally understand. I do agree with for the most part. But I think the movie that or the reason this movie is redeemed for me, even in the slightest, is because I like the like a little redemption arc thing that happens with the to be Robin. And I think maybe this is weird for me because I watched Batman and Robin before Batman Forever. So
Yeah.
going into Batman Forever, it surprised me. I'm like, wait a minute, that's Robin. That's really cool. So like I knew it was happening before I should have. And so that's why that movie is a little bit better to me. Is I liked what happened there with it leading into Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Even though it was completely different Batman and like Val Kilmer wasn't in the next movie, I liked that Robin or that character's Robin or that actor, whatever the fuck his name is.
Chris O'Donnell.
That's my number 9.
All right. My number 9 is Batman and Robin.
Wow.
Jared, the movie's just bad.
Yeah, but you were sitting there creaming over the movie the entire time. Every time I went,
So the movie's so funny because it's one of those movies where it's so bad it's good. I'll talk about the good side or the pros of this movie.
Uma Thurman.
I do like a lot of like the set designs. I do think like they put a lot of focus and attention into making them really, really like they jump off screen. Uma Thurman, she's great.
Arnold.
She's great looking. I'll say that her character's bad. I will say, Arnold in this movie, I feel like gets a lot of flack, but for what they were going for and the Mr. Freeze that they were trying to get, I feel like he was the perfect person to do that because he, in his career, was able to do one-liners with perfection. He's kind of a funny guy. He can do weird line delivery, and it'll work. I feel like with the character arc that they gave him, it actually redeemed a lot of his character. And okay, like he's not this one-dimensional character like Poison Ivy or Bane. He actually has a reason for doing what he is doing. And yes, is it weird that he has to use diamonds to power his suit? Is it weird that he is singing to Christmas carols, telling his people to sing, sing? Yes. Are a lot of the jokes bad? Yes, they are. But I feel like character-wise, he's actually not that bad of a villain compared to every other villain I've already talked about. Yeah,
I agree with that.
like, yeah, I was laughing a lot because that movie is so genuinely funny to me because it doesn't take itself seriously, but it's so bad because of that. I don't know why Joel Schumacher decided to make this movie, and I'm surprised George Clooney even signed on when he saw the script of this. And I mean, even now, he's been apologizing for this movie for like 25 years. Like, anytime someone brings it up, he's like, I'm sorry for it. I am sorry. Um, Batgirl sucks ass. She's not an interesting character at all. Alfred has an interesting storyline if they would have went more into it, but I feel like it would have paid off more if he died and would have gave Batgirl a reason to do what she was doing, but he doesn't. And so that motivation for her to continue his legacy and what he wanted her to do goes away. And I mean, the CGI is rough. I don't understand how they think cars can drive on statues so easily and drive off the fingertips of the statues and so easily. And I will say, like, the Mr. Freeze car is pretty cool. Other than that, that's all I got. The cons outweigh the bads so much here, and I understand why this is probably 95% of the population's least favorite Batman, and it's hated upon so much. I could not put it any higher. The movie's not good. I love to watch it more than Batman Forever. Like it's fun to watch because of how bad it is. But I can't put it after this. I feel like the movies are pretty solid, but these bottom two are just god awful. So, Jared, let's hear your next one.
My number 8 is the Lego Batman.
This is such horseshit. Why is Batman and Robin so fucking high on your fucking list? What is this? Oh, all right. I didn't expect this to be this low either. Lego Batman at fucking 8?
I'll be honest with you. I wanted it higher, but I was like, dude, like, I can't put it above. There's another movie that's going to be higher. And I'm like, I can't put it above this. Like, this movie is good for its own, like, in its own right. If I'm going to swap two movies on this list for any reason, it would be the one I'm talking about right now, Lego Batman, and my number 6 when we get there. These are the only ones I'd interchange. So, Lego Batman is a great watch, but they're fucking Legos, so it's hard for me to appreciate the full weight of the movie. As much as I love Legos, like there's literally I've got Lego sets sitting right there. I could turn my camera and show you. I'm all about Lego, but Lego movies are rough. I don't know. This is the second movie that they've ever. Well, yeah, this was the second at the time. That they like Lego movie they made that was made well. Like before this, they sucked. So I don't know. I'll give it that, but it's an 8th because rewatchability. I don't need to watch this that often. Yeah, that's my 8. What's yours?
I'm so not pleased.
You know, never mind. We'll just play it out.
It's your opinion, I understand. But like, I feel like a certain few movies should be in a spot, like for most people.
Okay.
Um,
Just fucking tell me your 8th, and then don't give me a description. Just tell me what your 8th is, and I'll go right to 7. We'll just keep going.
Oh yeah, I gotta give a description. Batman Returns is my number 8. I think out of Michael Keaton's Batmans, I prefer this one the least. I feel the villains aren't as strong. I do like Danny DeVito's Penguin. He has like a few scenes where he's like actually kind of creepy, like just how he's expressing, and I do like that. Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman obviously is a great performance. But what I hate about the Tim Burton movies is he tends to focus too much on his villains when I'm here to watch a Batman movie. And even though he spends a lot of time looking at his villains, they don't have a lot of depth to them. Penguin he just wants to be accepted by everyone else. That's his thing. And Catwoman, she didn't want to become Catwoman. She died, came back to life because of cats, and now she wants revenge. That's her thing. But we spend too much time with them, and we don't spend enough time with Batman. Batman shows up at the beginning for his intro fight, and then we go a good 25, 30 minutes without even seeing him in the suit. And for some movies that works. Spider-Man 2, that's one of my biggest pros. But it's because the character of Peter Parker is so interesting that you don't mind it. Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne isn't that interesting to me. He's very one-dimensional as well. And I feel like, the way they set this movie up, like the Penguin was going to kill a bunch of children. They went, wait, that's way too much. Let's just now have him use penguins to bomb the city. Like that change in direction always bothered me a ton because it's so unwarranted and there's no setup to it at all that whenever I watch this movie, when I get to that part, it just infuriates me. And I care nothing about Catwoman's payoff of like, Batman saying, hey, you can be good, do this, and what she does do. Like, I don't care because of how bad they set up the ending and the ending sequence. So Batman Returns is my number 8. Jared, what is your 7?
My number 7 is Batman Returns.
Okay.
I like this Batman with Michael Keaton much better than the other Batman with Michael Keaton. That's really it. To me, it's very similar to that other one in terms of rewatchability. But I like Danny DeVito's Penguin. I liked Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, and that's why I put it above Lego Batman. I thought the villains were very nice. Number 6.
Here's a question real quick, though. Which Catwoman do you prefer? Do you prefer Anne Hathaway, Michelle Pfeiffer, or Zoe Kravitz as your favorite?
I'm gonna go as like in the suit Catwoman. I'm gonna say Anne Hathaway.
Okay.
But out of the suit, I forgot her name already. The newest one from the newest
Zoe
Batman.
Kravitz.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. My number 7 is Batman versus Superman. Now, I thought this movie would be lower, to be honest with you, but when I went and rewatched it a few weeks ago, I do like a lot of the aspects of, because they pulled something Marvel didn't do. Because once the movie came out, Marvel took the idea. Is Batman saw all the damage and all the chaos that Superman was causing in his fight, right? And that happens at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And so that's like his main driving force to stop Superman. And obviously, when you have Batman fighting Superman, there's always going to be this, when it doesn't really translate well to film, because in comics it's different. They can kind of go more uncanny with how Batman fights Superman, but in a movie it's got to make sense. And I feel like his Superman suit does make sense, like that giant armor bat suit. It makes sense. I like a lot of the cinematography in this movie. Doomsday at the end doesn't do it for me, and I know he's just a plot device to be. He's like set up the whole movie to be the final fight. But I don't care for a lot of the choices they made with Lex Luthor. How he's like Mark Zuckerberg-ish. He just has these weird quirks to him, and I don't care for Jesse Eisenberg isms where he will make these certain weird choices with characters. Like there's a scene where Lex Luthor's pushing a Jolly Rancher into a guy's mouth, and he's like, boop. Like that's not Lex Luthor. He's supposed to be this menacing, super smart guy. And with Jesse Eisenberg's take, he's super smart, but they made him super weird. And I just feel like the tone whenever he's on just feels weird to me. Obviously, this introduces Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She's great in this. She's really great in this. And although I will say, like, even though she is so attractive, this was, when I saw this movie, like her line delivery, because obviously this was one of her first big roles. Her line delivery in this was like not great at all. So like there's a lot of times where like I'll be watching her like saying a line, and it's like, oh, like Jesus Christ, like was there not a better take of this, or is this just what she gives?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I feel like they're dynamic, but and the reasons why they're fighting each other makes sense. Unlike Civil War, where I feel like they very much portray it one-sided, I feel like in this movie, Zack Snyder did a better job at directing the reasoning for both sides and giving them enough justification for both sides so that when they do fight, it's actually worth it, unlike Civil War. Yeah, this was the first superhero movie really. Well, I know Spider-Man did it a little bit, but like they really went into, okay, this is like what we're doing is causing people's lives to go away, right? Like we are killing people. Like we need to change this. And so I got to give him credit for that. So what is your next one, Jared?
My number 6 is Batman versus Superman.
Okay.
I got to be honest with you, this is like the third one in a row where like you've just talked about the movie I was about to talk about, and you've just given all this wonderful detail. And it's like ditto. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like you hit a lot of it in the head. I love the whole thing at the beginning where Batman watches Superman causing all the damage. He's like, I gotta stop this guy. Like that's great. I would say I disagree with the Lex Luthor. I love Lex Luthor in this movie. I think he is great. Now, when I see stuff from like the animated series and stuff, nothing like what Lex Luthor I think should be, but I still like him. I still think it's an entertaining thing. But I understand why people don't like it for not sticking with that like original Lex Luthor tone, I guess.
All right.
Gal Gadot's cool too. She was there. Yeah, you hit everything I was gonna say. So
Okay. Well,
all
here's
right.
one you can't talk about. Number 6 is Batman, the Michael Keaton one.
Hey,
Uh, so obviously you have Hugh Jackman or Hugh Jackman. Oh God,
what the fuck movie are we watching?
I can't think of
Michael
his.
Keaton?
No, what's the guy who plays the Joker? I can't think of his name now. Jack Nicholson. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Don't know why I got those two confused. You have Jack Nicholson taking on the
Oh,
Joker role for the first time. Well, this would actually have been the second time the Joker was featured in a film because he was in the 1966 movie, but not really the Joker. I love the take that they did with him. I love his origin story. And I think if you're trying to get someone who is demented and really trying to be like, he's comedic in like a scary way, like Jack Nicholson was the perfect person to cast. Like I really do think like for the Joker, like Mr. Freeze, like for the Joker they were going for, they couldn't have casted anyone better than Jack Nicholson. I mean, the guy's a top 10 actor of all time. Like great decision. Once again though, this comes down to we see Batman in the beginning and he goes missing for another 30 minutes, 35 minutes to focus on a villain, which I am interested in. But at the end of the day, it hinders how I feel about Batman and my connection with him. So I've never gotten the take of like, oh, Michael Keaton's the best Batman. Like, no, he's not even near the best Batman because he doesn't have a lot of good action scenes. He doesn't have a lot of scenes as Batman, and his Bruce Wayne is so mundane. Like Michael Keaton does his best. Don't get me wrong. Like he's a great actor. Like he did great for the time. Before a Batman film, I feel like there's a lot of standards that this movie didn't set that it should have set. And I mean, I think the biggest one is like he let the Joker die at the end. Like
yeah.
Batman, like that's not what their relationship has ever been. I know in the comics he's killed the Joker a few times, but like I feel like that's a pretty big character arc that they could have talked about and put in. Like, hey, like you're this. They could have really played on the relationship. Like, hey, you're trying to get me to kill you, and like, I'm not. I'm not gonna do it. They didn't though. They didn't give that 1-2 punch between the two characters. They felt separated for so long in the movie, and even when they come together, it just feels like it doesn't pay off well for me. But I do like a lot of the cinematography. I love when he's in the Batwing and it like flies up to the moon and does like the Batman symbol.
Yeah.
Fucking fantastic. I love, like I said, everything Jack Nicholson does. I love how he has his little guns with that say bang when he pulls the trigger. He has he has the pen with the water that shoots out. Like there's just so much to go. He has the little fucking teeth that move.
Mm.
There's just a lot of that stuff I do love. But once again, this film suffers from not enough Batman, and even when Batman's in it, this is like the Spider-Man Homecoming of the Batman films. It's a solid movie, but not because of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So, what is your number 5?
So my number 5 is Batman and Robin.
I'm glad it ends here. I'm glad it ends here. But why?
So The reason I put it here is because the movie surprised me. I fucking hated it to start. I mean, it was bad. Like, it was really, really like I stopped paying attention a little bit at the beginning because of how not good it was. But I was very surprised with how down to earth and like good that Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, what like how he played him, how good it was. How he did it with the Mr. Freeze or Captain Cold, whatever the fuck is. I always forget his goddamn name, Mr. Freeze, whatever.
Captain Cold.
Captain Cold. I don't know.
That's like the Kroger
Uh,
brand.
yeah, I fucking like that alone is what made me like that movie. Like every time he was on screen, I was like, I like leaned forward. I was like, what's he gonna do? What's he gonna say? Like this is so cool.
Let's kick some ice.
Let's kick some ice. Who? What's killed the dinosaurs?
Ice.
Ice. Yeah, it was great. Now, the whole like betrayal between villains thing also like is what sparked me to like this movie. Like it, the whole vengeance. Like he wanted revenge, and then Batman comes in and is like, well, she's not actually dead. We got to her. Like that was cool. Like I'm glad that even though he was a bad guy, I was so happy that things turned out like good for him in a sense. And that's kind of the reason the movie's so high for me is because you don't. How often does someone make a movie where you feel bad for the villain? That it's not meant to make you feel like. I feel like the first thing comes to mind is Wreck It Ralph. Like it's like, oh, the bad guys are actually decent people, but like when else? What other situation or scenario do you feel that? So that's why I like this movie. Don't get me wrong. All the things you said about like why this movie is bad, I don't disagree with that. But I'm definitely a very good, like very large advocate of the Captain Cold Freeze Mister guy.
Add credit card. Never leave the house without it.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Uh,
Yeah,
I love when they're
like
like,
you said, bad comedy, but
I love how basically they're betting over who's gonna get to fuck Poison Ivy, and Robin's like 4 million. He's like, you don't even have 4 million. I'll borrow it from you. 5 million.
yeah.
Like there's some jokes that work because they're so over the top and like don't fit. Like that movie's very sexual too, like in a weird way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
okay,
the nipple suits and big butts and crotch
dude,
plastic.
listen, George Clooney rocks it. I don't care what anyone says. He rocks that shit.
I don't know why he apologizes. It's a damn good movie.
It's not, but
All right, number 4.
not at all. Well, no, number 5 for me. Uh,
Oh yeah.
my number 5
Yeah.
the Lego Batman movie. I
Wow.
love Lego movies. I think they're very entertaining because they can communicate a heartfelt story while still being super funny. And the over the topness that these movies have
Ugh.
are okay because it's Lego. You're not supposed to take it seriously, right? But what I love about this is the Joker and the Batman's like emotional ride together, and like how at the end the Joker's like crying because he's like, wait, what do you mean? You need me. You need me. Like we complete each other. And obviously the like when I went and saw this movie in theaters, I was surprised how much I was laughing my ass off because it's such a satirical take of Batman, and like they clown on all the things bad about him and even some of the things that are good about him. But you still like are rooting for the guy because like they make him like a really egotistical guy. I'm Batman, you know, like all the time. But like they still show emotional depth when they need to. And yeah, like the I think the action sequences are phenomenal, especially towards the end. Phenomenal. Some of the best in the Batman series. And it's weird to say this because like it's not a normal Batman movie. It's a Lego movie, but I'm so glad that they made this movie because they should make a Spider-Man movie like this because it's so funny.
I don't know about that.
It would be funny. Like it's so funny and it doesn't take itself serious at all, but it works and it makes sense for this film. I think the voice acting is phenomenal. I love that Morgan Freeman's in this as God again. Like, or he plays no, who's he playing this?
Was he?
Yeah, Morgan Freeman's in this movie. He's a Lego character. Remember when they go to the area where they have all those different Legos? Like it's like a meeting in the movie.
Yeah.
Or am I thinking of the Lego movie?
I think you are.
All right, take that last thing back. I swear Morgan Freeman's in one of them though.
He is. He's in the Lego movie, but I don't think he's in this one.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I love the comedy. I think it's so funny, and the action sequences are great. And as Batman, you don't really get to see him outside the bat suit very much until he gets to like his like crying montage where he's Bruce Wayne in his house, like all sad and stuff. But even then, it's so funny. But you get to see like all the different sides of him. So I I gotta admit, like when I rewatched this, like I was still laughing. I think like this is probably a top three rewatchable Batman movie, like for sure. So, what is your number four?
My number 4 is Batman Begins.
Nice, nice. Why?
Uh, it's the worst out of the Nolan trilogy. That's why it's fourth. But it's still a damn good Batman, and in my opinion, ranks above everything else here. The only one I would argue is close is the Batman and Robin for the like villain because I don't care about the villains in Batman Begins. I just don't. That's it. Like that's literally it. Otherwise, Batman Begins is much better in pretty much every other way.
Yeah.
Uh,
My
Go
number
ahead.
four is Batman Begins as well.
Perfect.
I
Go
feel
ahead.
like we're probably gonna have a pretty similar ranking from here on up. But we'll see what
Yeah,
your
we'll see.
number two and one are, but or your number three through one. Yeah, I think the first 25 minutes is probably the best opening we've gotten to a Batman film besides The Dark Knight. I love Christian Bale's character arc throughout this. How he is just going around fighting criminals before he's even the Batman, before he joins the League of Shadows, just to like prove something, just to go out, and obviously, you have Ra's al Ghul and his whole character. Liam Neeson's great in it. I love that you get to
Oh
actually
yeah.
see how Batman trains and how he got a lot of his ideology in a very unique way. Um, I do like love the Scarecrow as well because he's such a different take and he's a little bit uncanny, but Cillian Murphy does it just right to where like it's just creepy. I love the scenes where people have the fear toxin in them and like you see Batman as this really weird creature and like you get this. I love how they actually show what people are seeing with the fear toxin. It's really really dope. Um, I I just in general I love the Scarecrow because he's in every single Dark Knight trilogy movie,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just as a random cameo sometimes, and I think that really helps the world building because it shows, hey, you don't arrest them, they're still around, they're not gone like every other series, like he's still around doing his thing, um, and yeah, I think the world building of the cities and like what Bruce Wayne has to see with like what his dad built, right? Like with the trains and how much he actually tried to help. I think it does go for a good emotional impact. The reason why I have it at fourth is the technology stuff at the end with the bomb thing that goes on the train never really worked for me. I do like the motives of the League of Shadows, like it makes sense to me, but it's just a little too far for me. So,
Yeah.
Batman Begins is my number four. All right, Jared, top three.
Give me just list three, two, one.
No, just tell me your third.
All right. My number 3 is The Batman with Robert Pattinson.
Okay,
Okay.
why?
Um, so you're gonna get mad at me, but it's the same reason I told you before when we first talked about it. It is the Bruce Wayne for this movie. I just don't like it as Bruce Wayne. He's a little bit too dark now, which is fine because this movie is a much darker Batman movie than we've seen before, which I like. That's what I think is what makes this movie very good for a lot of reasons. When he is the Batman and it's dark and we have all that shit going on, it's awesome. Um, and I like a lot of the scenes where the other like Catwoman when she's like not in suit like that, she does fine outside of being her alter ego, but I just don't feel it with this Bruce Wayne. He just isn't like I don't know. It's just the way he is, the way he carries himself. It's like he just maybe it's the hair too. Like he looks a little too emo for me, and I can't take him that seriously. The only time I take him seriously as Bruce Wayne is when he goes and encounters Falcone. That's like the only time where I'm like, oh shit, like he definitely went in there looking like Bruce Wayne, but he was there like on Batman turn. Like he was definitely there for that reason. That's it. Like that's the only time I really go, oh, okay, I like Bruce Wayne here. Um, other than that, like other than the Bruce Wayne aspect of this movie, I do like the movie for a lot of reasons. The Riddler, surprisingly good villain. And I think I told you just when I first watched it. The first like half hour of that movie, I just did not fucking care for. It was, in my opinion, it was just not a good start. Like I couldn't. I'm sitting here watching. It's like, wow, I don't want to sit for the next 2.5 hours and watch this movie. But as the movie progressed, it like the beginning made more sense, and it like I guess it just settled more, and I like thought about it a little bit more, and I liked it more as time went on. That being said, like everything that happens at the beginning with the Riddler, I thought it was Batman, and I was like, wait, why? What's going on here with this? Um, just a confusing thing, not knowing what his suit was going to look like. I guess threw me off. I thought maybe it was like an amateur Batman, but that's my ignorance of it. Like I don't know enough when it comes to DC Comics, anything outside of it. What was the other thing I was gonna say? There's one more thing. Oh, the tech was a little but I love the Batmobile. Not the best Batmobile, but I like it a lot. It is definitely not it's definitely number 2 in the Batmobiles, without a doubt, number 2. But he's on the bike too much. He doesn't use the Batmobile enough. Too much biking around, which is all right. I do like his version of the grappling hook. Like I don't know that the shot, like the scenes that are shot with him using the grappling hook, I think are the best ones we've had. Just like the when I forget what building is he in? Is it when he's going up through the stairwell? Remember that? I can't hear you. Your nothing's coming
Police
through.
building.
Okay, it wasn't the police building. When he's going up, yeah, that's right. When he's breaking out from talking to Gordon, when he's going up in that scene where it's top down, you're looking down at him, and I know it does a few different ones, but like that scene for a moment where it's just his arm up and you're looking down at him, I love that scene. So they definitely shot a lot of the tech in a good way, but I just felt like there could have been more, or the stuff that was introduced could have been utilized a little more. Like I liked that adrenaline thing he used at the end, the cool little shocky thing he had. Uh, all in all, since we're talking about it and we're supposed to be giving a review, real quick, I will review it. I will say this: I originally gave this movie a lot lower of a number, but I had a really bad situation with having to pee since like the beginning of the movie. So I think I was like a little annoyed the whole time. I'm gonna mercy give it 1 point higher because I think I was in a bad mood when I rated it. So I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I really originally said a 7.5. 8.5, I think is what it deserves. And I'm probably gonna have to see it again and more adequately like prepare because I guess even though I went to the bathroom right beforehand, I just was not in a good way the whole movie. Uh I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think that this movie and movie in number 2 spot is absolutely interchangeable, depending on the day of the week because they're both very good movies, and I just there's one or two little things that stop them from being great for me. Damien, what is your number 3?
I respect. You know what? I respect your review. I know.
Wow.
I know. When you first told me, I feel like I still disagree with the 25 minutes thing, and when we get to mine, I'll talk about it for reasons why. But most of the other parts, I can at least see your point of view on. So I respect it. I respect it. I'm glad the P meter got taken away in your score.
Yeah.
Uh, so
I've never had that happen. I think so. I don't know if you'd said anything or if we've even talked about it, but you and I obviously are doing a little bit more for ourselves and working out more, eating better, and drinking a shit ton more water. And so we had just started doing that, and I'd been drinking so much water. I think that was a part of it. So yeah, I had to give it a mercy rule. I mean,
yeah,
I've never done that. Every movie I've ever been to, I can sit through it no problem. Maybe towards like the last 10 minutes, I'm like, all right, I'm getting a little
yeah,
antsy. But this was bad. So yeah, I don't
yeah.
know what the
Like
fuck's there.
usually, like I pee like right before I go in that theater because
That's
I
exactly what
like
I
to
did.
show up pretty early. That's just how I've always been. And like let's say the movie starts at 1. I'll be there like I'll be sitting in the theater like 12:45.
Yep.
That's just how I've always been. So I use that time to pee. So like at 12:55, I'll get up, I'll pee real quick. And then I'll
Yep.
come back and then whatever drink I have, I'm not sucking down, I'm sipping through it the whole time. And then usually the last maybe 20 minutes, 10 minutes, that's when it's like, oh man, I have to pee. But it's all right because I'm so focused on the movie, I don't really have to think about it as much. But yeah. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
My number three
Number
is the
three.
my number three is The Dark Knight Rises. I, usually this movie gets a lot of flack for its final act, which we'll talk about. I love Bruce Wayne's character arc during this. I love how we get to see him outside of being Batman, his emotional trauma after what happened after the Dark Knight. And I love how the effects of Harvey Dent are still felt. Even, I think this is 8 years after the Dark Knight, or
Yeah.
8 to 10 years. I think Tom Hardy fucking nails this Bane role. Even though he has a weird accent, I know that throws a lot of people off. I fucking love it. I love that dude's 5'9", and they portrayed him as this fucking huge ass guy. He's so every time he's on the screen, he is so imposing, and I just want more of Bane. And even the whole point of like what Batman's doing, and why he comes back, and I do like his motivations for that. Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, though, she's all right. She's like, I feel like out of all the characters, she's just the most meh to me. And I do feel like this is by far the least detailed oriented and tight script that Nolan's done, because I just feel like after The Dark Knight, he kind of said everything he wanted to say. And now this was just about tying up a lot of the characters. But I mean, some of the action sequences have bad choreography where people are just falling down without even being hit. That was a pretty big thing. Catwoman's story, like, yeah, I guess she wants a clean slate. It's not a good enough reasoning for her, or her motivation. And I'm gonna be honest, the twist at the end with Ra's al Ghul's daughter, I've never liked. I never liked that he used this character who is a love interest and who was just kind of a side character that you don't really care about, turned out to be behind the scenes, and made Bane, who was a great villain, just a henchman. Then, like, it always rubbed me the wrong way, and I always felt like it was a cop out. Like, okay, well, this is the finale. Like, we have to make something happen. We have to have this twist. When the movie would have been way better if they just kept it as Bane doing Bane things, and because he had such good reasoning for what he was doing, and the way he, obviously, I think one of the best scenes in the Dark Knight trilogy is when he goes into the stadium, gives his monologue after the whole stadium just collapsed. It's so good, so good. And every scene he's in, like I said, he steals the show. But I just don't like the third act. I really don't think it's great. Compared to the other two Nolan third acts in this trilogy, it is by far the worst third act. And because of a lot of the reveals, I don't like it. I will say, I do love that Alfred had a lot more emotion in this movie. He actually left. We don't get to see him for a while. And when you're watching this movie, I feel like you can feel that. Even if it's the small scenes where he's like, someone's knocking his door, and he's like, hey, Alfred. And you're like, yeah, he's not there anymore. Like, no one's there for you anymore. Like, you're by yourself. And I just love the emotional payoff for Alfred, where he goes to that bar and he gets to see his dream. It's Bruce Wayne with the love of his life. Well, I guess love interest. Not doing that anymore, right? So there is some pretty big flaws with this. I feel like the first half of this movie is so tight, like, and so good that I can't put it below Batman Begins, even though I think Batman Begins has a better script. I just love the performances more in this movie. So, what is your number two?
My number two is Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
I was just trying to fuck with you. No, I think a lot of the things you said are I'm pretty much identical with. The only thing I'm gonna kind of disagree with is I actually do enjoy the little twist with Bane and I forget her goddamn name, Ra's al Ghul's daughter. Only because I like the way that it kind of like matches up with what was said earlier in the movie with, someone out there, one of you could be holding the detonator, and like the whole time one of you was, or one of them was.
Yeah.
Now I don't like that she was a love interest turned, oh, I'm bad. I don't like that part. But I like how she was kind of undercover. I like that she was like that shadow investor that was like, I need to know what this is. Like, she was investing because she knew that could be turned into a bomb. Um, I do agree that I don't like that Bane just kind of became a henchman, but he is kind of like the head henchman. Like he's like the big honcho right below her. So I don't know. I'm torn on that part. I talking about Catwoman. I like seeing her in this like post-apocalyptic like Gotham. I like seeing that version of her. Seeing what she like just surviving because I mean she's clearly like she can. Um little anticlimactic is her like, "Oh, I'm leaving. As soon as I blow the tunnel, I'm gone." And then she comes back and just shoots Bane. Didn't like that. Kinda wish there was more of a fight there. But, you know, the save to the last second thing, I feel like that's a theme among these movies. So, it's whatever. Um, I mean, everything else you said I pretty much agree with. First half, awesome. Ending was, yeah, I could see where it hurts a little. Oh, that's what I was gonna talk about. The dream, the whole dream thing with Alfred at the end. It's that part is so cool to me because like you know that Bruce Wayne, you know, motherfucking he jumps out the thing, he fixed the autopilot, and Fox is just like, wait, what? The autopilot? And he just does one of those son of a bitch. And then you get to the part where Alfred's sitting there, and you know that motherfucking Bruce Wayne, he planned that out. He goes, all right, stalking Alfred, like, doing all the Batman shit to be like, I'm gonna fucking troll this motherfucker so good, but like in a good way. It's like a heartfelt troll, and I like that. He's the, you know, that was good. So
Oh.
end scene great, like we talked about. Um, that's it. Great movie. Number two.
All right, my number two. I'm still like I have not been able to come to an answer for my final two. I have not been able to. I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, uh, I'm gonna put the Batman at number two. Um, yeah. So I think number two and one are both Batman masterpieces. I think for Batman films, they are masterpieces. I love what Matt Reeves did in this film, bringing it more down to earth than Christopher Nolan. I love the Riddler, like the first, like the scene in the beginning where there's a politician talking on the phone and he turns on the TV and you see the Riddler right behind him, and it gives such a horror movie vibe. I fucking loved it, and then the anticipation that scene builds because the guy's talking on the phone, he shuts off the phone, but the Riddler doesn't strike right away. And then the guy shuts off the TV and he still didn't strike right away. And you're like, man, like he's taking his time, and then bam, just hits him in the head with a fucking like what was it? It was like a shovel it was a weird shovel thing.
So it
It was like a
was
carpenter tool.
yeah, it was a carpenter tool for carpeting. I
Yeah.
thought it was something he grabbed out of this guy's house. I thought it was some really stupid, big, expensive, like thing you would use to chisel ice off at a big
Yeah.
part. So you have like a block of ice, you chisel ice off into the
Yeah.
cup. That's what I thought it was. At the end of the movie, when they explained that part, I was like, huh. Well, I guess that makes a little bit more sense. Like he used it for he's the Riddler. It all ties around like that. It was cool. But I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I was a dumbass thing what it was. So yeah, it's a carpeting tool
Yeah.
thing.
And obviously spoilers if you haven't seen this movie, what are you doing? But
Oh shit, yeah. Spoiler
it,
alert.
it's one of those things where I think when it comes to the Riddler character, I think he's as close to being perfect without being perfect. Um, I think Chris Dano did a phenomenal job at this. He's menacing. He's not imposing with his strength, but he's imposing with his mind. And I love the fact that this very much has the feel of you don't know what he's going to do next. Like that when I was watching the film, I don't know what he's going to do next. I don't know what's going to happen. And I love that feeling because a lot of villains you kind of know what they're going for. I didn't know what his final plot thing was going to be. Like what was his end goal with Gotham, right? I love all the scenes with him in it. I love how, like he killed these people. Like the one guy, he taped his head completely shut. And the riddles that he laid out for Batman made sense to the script, made sense for what he was trying to get over. And I think when you get to the end, you get that payoff of finding out why he did everything. It like clicked in my head. It was so good. So good. Colin Farrell as the Penguin, I also think stole the show. I mean, he was every time he was on the screen, he did phenomenally. The fact that they made Colin Farrell look like that, first off, I mean, should win an Oscar for it. Um, he
I love the underground crime scene that he's in. I love how they set up everything in that world. It makes the world so lived in. And that's, I think, the thing I love about this most. There's so much wrong in the world in Gotham, and they really show it well here. And then we get to Robert Pattinson, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I think he's the best Batman. I really do. I think when it comes to just strictly Batman, he is the best. I love his opening scene where they are, he's talking about, I'm fear. Criminals will look in the dark, and even if I'm not there, they think I am, and they're scared of me because of that. And they have this fear. And then finally, when they have that subway scene, and I just love how they're looking into this darkness, and all you hear is his footsteps, and they're loud, and they're thumping.
Raw.
And he comes out, and he's pretty stocky. Like, he looks really good in the suit. And I love how he's like, he has so much anger in him. He's this super aggressive Batman. I mean, he beat the shit out of those people. Like, the one guy he took to the ground was like pounding on his chest a lot. And I love that he didn't do the I'm Batman line. He did I'm vengeance. And that made sense for his character so much because of what happened to his parents. He still wanted to get vengeance for them and finish their goal of, reclaiming Gotham and making it a safe place. I love everything about why he is Batman because, he's sitting there thinking, this whole city's on my shoulders. I can't be there for everything. Is what I'm doing even worth it? I'm not doing enough. Like, I'm not doing it. So that makes sense why we don't see him a lot as Bruce Wayne for me. He's not going out ever. He's sleeping all day and then going out as Batman. He doesn't have a social life. And I'm glad that they showed that part of him because no other film for Batman showed that. They were, you have in the day, he's Bruce Wayne. At night, he's Batman. But no, he is so focused on his goal. He doesn't have that other part of him. He's just Batman. And towards the end, I think he finally realized, like, you know what? I can't have two lives. I can be this other person. So I think in the sequel, we'll see that. I mean, even the parts where, he's supposed to go to this funeral and Alfred's like, wear your cufflinks. I don't need to wear my cufflinks. Here, wear mine. And he's like, I don't want to wear them. I don't care about my family name like that. And then he looked at Alfred and he's like, I forget like exactly what he said, but he's like, you're not family. And he's like, and Alfred's like, your dad gave me those cufflinks that say Wayne on them.
Wayne, you're not a Wayne.
You're not a Wayne. Yeah. He's like, yeah, your dad gave me those cufflinks. And it I think that's one of the biggest things that made him like click was, okay, I can be Bruce Wayne. I need to be. Yep. I need to carry on my family legacy on this other side. So I think also the big thing when he's in the Batsuit, Robert Pattinson is so well at conveying thoughts and ideas without saying anything. The way he just looks and analyzes other characters, you can see his thinking going on, and you can see how he's planning out things. I've always loved that about Ryan Gosling in a lot of his movies because he's a very stoic character or person. And this Batman's very stoic. He sits back. He's not saying a lot. He's just analyzing, and that's what I've always wanted. I love the detective feel of this movie. It's very much like Seven, which is, if you've never seen Seven, it's literally Batman, just more gorier. And I think Zoe Kravitz is by far the best Catwoman. She's also so attractive, which doesn't go into like a lot of it, but like, I think her character is good. And I think the best scene in the film for me is when he gets in the Batmobile and he's chasing the Penguin. That whole sequence is the best Batmobile sequence we have ever gotten. Ever. Period. It is so good what he does in that film and how it's shot. I fell in love with it. The only thing that I know a lot of people have an issue with is like how the final act ends and how like, it seemed like the bombs didn't really make sense. But I feel like once you put together everything the Riddler is saying, it makes sense what he wants to do. He just wants Gotham to go down because Gotham wasn't there for him. And he saw Bruce Wayne getting all the support. And what was Bruce Wayne's dad's most important thing to him besides his family? Gotham and saving it, right? I love the corruption that they showed between his dad and like Maroni. Like the fact that his dad went to him for this and he didn't want the guy to die, but he did. And his father still couldn't live with live with himself because of it, but still he did it. So it showed that it gave me a Harvey Dent feel. Like, he's so good, but he did this one thing. And so that ruins it. So this movie's so smart. I think it's a 10 out of 10. I think it's phenomenal. I'll say this. If you want strictly Batman, I think this is the best Batman film. But it's not the best movie for like that Batman's had, which is just crazy to me. Which number one for me and you both, I'm guessing, is Dark Knight.
No, actually, I'm bringing it back. Batman and Robin. Dark Knight, without a fucking doubt, man.
I do think the Dark Knight overall is a better movie. I think because you get the benefit of having the trilogy, and you're getting to see those character arcs that we haven't seen yet with Robert Pattinson. So I just...
That was something I was going to say. When you were talking about one part of him, and I was going to say, I bet you if there's like 3 movies with Robert Pattinson, I bet after the second one, I'll like move the Batman up a rank. I guarantee that'll be something that'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they, do what they're supposed to do with him as Bruce Wayne, which I'm guessing Matt Reeves is such a good director. I mean, we just talked about, I watched the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes movies, the trilogy recently. I mean, he directed the final 2 and they're just phenomenal. They're phenomenal. So much emotion in those. And so, yeah, we'll move on to number 1 since, it's The Dark Knight. I'll go ahead and say why I think I put it over the Batman. I just think, even though the Riddler's great, like, yes, everyone talks about the Joker. The Joker's fantastic. But one of the least talked about parts is how good Harvey Dent is as a character. I think he is one of the best parts, maybe the best part of the film. The fact that you get to see him as such a good person and how Gotham viewed him and how he was supposed to not necessarily take the Batman's role, but make it to where the Batman's not needed. And then you get to see that one thing happen, Rachel dying, and how the Joker succeeded. Even in the end, the Joker failed, or even though the Joker got caught, he succeeded because he got Gotham's White Knight to turn against its own city. And I think for me, that was like one of the big things where, like, and I want to sit here thinking about it, like, the Batman's great, but it doesn't have Harvey Dent. And I think the Joker, I mean, Heath Ledger, phenomenal. I love the opening scene. I think it's the best opening scene we've ever had. And Christopher Nolan, obviously fantastic director. I like the score in this as well. That's one thing I didn't talk about with the Batman. Both of these movies have a really good score. I just like the Dark Knights a little bit more. I mean, I can continue. Everything's been said about this film. It's a perfect movie. It actually is. It's literally a perfect movie. The Batman gets as close to being perfect as it could, but it's not perfect. Absolutely. The Dark Knight is perfect. There is not a big flaw in this film at all.
Yeah, I struggle to find something about this movie I don't like. I mean, you've got, is it James Fox? Is that his name? Or is it
I think so.
Lucius Fox?
Lucius Fox.
Yeah. You've got Lucius Fox, fucking phenomenal character. Jim Gordon, great. I mean, I think Jim Gordon's I'm sorry, the actor who plays Jim Gordon in this movie, The Dark Knight, is the best out of all the Nolan movies.
Gary Oldman, yes.
Gary, thank you. Sorry,
I was Black, by the way.
What?
He's Sirius Black.
Oh yeah. Yes. I was like, what the fuck? What? I thought you said he's black, and I'm like, no, he wasn't. What?
Be on the inside.
But well, yeah. So yeah, Lucius Fox, Jim Gordon, fucking phenomenal. I mean, just great characters. I love them. I mean, supporting characters, side characters, whatever you want to say, they're great, even though they're like some of the main cast. Christian Bale kills it as Batman. I know that he isn't the best Batman, but he is the best of both worlds put into one. He does fucking amazing playing Batman and then switching right over to Bruce Wayne seamlessly. Like, it's so good. It's such a great transition. And I like that he does still do Batman like stuff even when he is Bruce Wayne. Like the scene where he like runs the light to stop the truck from hitting the guy who's about to leak his name, and like that whole scene that happens, that's a wonderful scene. I think that's fantastic. And I was gonna say something else about one of the other characters. God damn it. The stupid son of a bitch boss, the guy who takes all the money and goes to Hong Kong. I forget his character's name,
Yeah.
but I like the arc there with that, and like how it's like, all right, what can I do? Like Batman doesn't know, like it doesn't worry about where it is. I love everything that ties into that. Fucking great movie. I can't think of anything else to say because I mean we've hit it. It is a perfect movie. If not perfect, it's a 9.99999. Like it's right there. It's
Yeah.
one step away from being perfect.
Yeah, it is so tight. It's so good. And
Yep.
it's so crazy to me that, I mean, there's probably, I mean, the Batman got as close as you probably can get to topping this movie. I know a lot of people prefer the Batman over the Dark Knight, and I understand why, but I feel like the general mass,
get it.
feel like the Dark Knight's still better. But, like, I don't understand how Christopher Nolan made this good of a Batman movie. I cannot believe that he chose Heath Ledger, who before this, did like A Knight's Tale, 10 Things I Hate About You, like smaller stuff, like Brokeback Mountain, but obviously that was acclaimed, but like who knew he would become the best Batman villain ever? And like he can't be topped. There's just you just can't.
I mean, he essentially became the Joker for real, without all the like killing.
Well, yeah, man. Like he sent like dead rats to people, like other cast members, like because he method acted that shit. He apparently went into his hotel room for like 6 months and didn't come out, and he
Something
sent like
crazy.
rats and shit to like dead rats to like his other coworkers, and they got like super creeped out about it, which obviously. But yeah, like if you get the Dark Knight on like disc physical, they have the behind the scenes that talks about a lot of that stuff and like what he did. And I mean, this man literally, like, he knew what this role could have been, and he put everything into it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's like the scene where they're in the tower at the whatever party that I think they're the Bruce Wayne's throwing the party for Harvey Dent, and he comes up to Rachel with the knife, and she like won't look at him. Her eyes are closed, won't look at him. I've seen things where it's like, yeah, like she's doing that because it's not like the character. She's like he's freaking her out.
yeah,
Like the way
Well,
he is acting.
I don't remember if this was true, but that whole scene where he like grabs her face and shit, and
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, that was apparently not in the script.
Oh, was it not?
He just did that. Like I don't, because that's when you see her like jerking back. She's like actually jerking back. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Because doesn't he say, "Look at me"? Like he's like, "Look at me." Like
Yeah.
look,
So,
look at me.
if I remember
And
correctly,
she's just like,
yeah. If I remember correctly from that documentary that they posted out, like I'm pretty sure that wasn't in the script. He did it, and then he did the whole fucking, how I got these scars thing again, and it was just mind blowing. It was just mind blowing.
it was fucking insane.
I love the fact that he changes the story too. Like it just shows how crazy he is. But yeah,
I mean, he's making it up. It. Literally is what it is. It's so fucking such a great movie.
I don't know how I got these scars. He has such a weird voice when he does that too.
I love in the very beginning. I don't know, just making that voice reminded me. He goes, "I'm betting that the boss told me to shoot you," and he goes, "No, I shoot the bus driver." And he's like, "Bus driver," and then the fucking bus hits him. It's so fucking good.
Also, another thing that was not in the script, when he blows up the nursing hospital and he's like,
oh yeah, the whole
out, and he's like he clicks it and like nothing happens. Apparently, nothing did happen, and he like kept smashing it to do the final explosion. They just carried on with the scene. He just nailed it.
He's standing there and he just goes,
yeah,
and then he keeps
and it's
fucking
like
with
small scenes like that. It's like that's so weird, but it like fits the character so well. I don't understand. Yep. And even like his weird like mouth licking that he does, like it's like, and he has the best Joker laugh too, by far.
Yeah, he does. Oh, by a fucking landslide.
One of the things they talked about was like when he was talking to Nolan about his Joker laugh, he wanted it to sound like it was painful for the Joker to laugh, and nailed it. Nailed it. It's fine. You know, it's fucking terrifying when he does it. Yeah, and I think one of the best. I think the ending is also phenomenal in this, where, Gordon's like,
he doesn't let him die.
Well, no, I'm just saying when like Gordon's like, they're gonna hate you, or he says something. He's like, "I'm whatever Gotham wants me to be," and runs away. I'm whatever they need me to be. It's just so good and speaks to the character so well. But yeah,
So good.
Yeah, so good. It was
Oh, dude, I forgot to okay, for Dark Knight Rises, one of my favorite parts of the movie is at the very end when Jim Gordon's like, "Who are you?" when he's about to fly the bomb out of the city, and he goes into this spiel about like it's as simple as a man wrapping a blanket around a kid who just lost his, or like he basically tells him and as he's flying away, he's just like Bruce Wayne. I don't know why. It's just great fucking scene.
yeah, great
You
scene.
talking
Call
about
back.
Jim Gordon reminded me of that. I wanted to bring that up and I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Dark Knight Rises is a huge thing for me. But yes, I like the ending. You know, and they're talking about when he's talking about like the white, like Gotham's White Knight, and he takes Two Face like the Burton chart upside, and he turns it to like his normal side, and, like remember him for what he needs to be, for what Gotham needs him to be, and I'll
Yep.
be whatever. Yeah, that so fucking good, dude.
It's so good. Goosebumps, man. Like I remember when me and you were
Fuck.
watching that together, we were like, dude, holy shit. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that movie's as rewatchable because it is very emotionally tolling. Like I would probably put it third on the list for like most watchable Batman movie for me because it is longer and it is a lot. But dude, I'll watch a movie like twice a year. And every time I watch it, I'll notice like something new about it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh.
Fucking great.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thank you for watching. We will see you next week with our Christopher Nolan movie rankings. We will have Insomnia. Well, we have Insomnia left, Interstellar, and Dunkirk. So we will get to those. Yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next week.
See you later, guys.